of fantasy sports, when all hope seems lost and chaos and confusion rule, one hero will rise. And change everything. GoingFor2.com. Because no one remembers the extra point.
What is going on, guys? All right, welcome to episode 87 of GoingFor2.com's Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Mr. Ryan Searfoss. Ryan, how you doing tonight, man?
Hey, fantastic. It's draft season.
Definitely, man. You're in, what, like 2 or 3 right now, aren't you? Now? Yeah, you got like 3 going on.
Yeah, I have our Raiders draft. I have Dynasty Generates 5, which we've had 100 trades in. I've taken part in 13 of them. And then we have that podcast one. So, yeah, it's bumping now. Nice.
And we're also here tonight with a returning guest. He was on the Pros vs. Joes podcast about 4 or 5 podcasts ago. Mr. JD from the GOAT District. Man, how you doing tonight, JD?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Glad to have you, man. Of course, I see you rocking the Raptors wear over there, man. You got the championship last night, man. How excited are you about that?
We are pumped up here north of the border, man. 24 years we waited for that thing, and we finally got there, man. It was a good feeling. It was a good feeling.
Good stuff. Yeah, I think I told you before the show, but we had the Jinx on. Comes on once a year and gives his fancy football predictions. After that show, he actually went on Facebook and predicted the Warriors would sweep the Raptors, so he pretty much jinxed your team into a championship, so you can thank him for that.
We'll take it any way we can get it, man.
Yeah, it was crazy, too, because this was actually a really, really good series. I think one of the better final series that we've had in a while. I know the Golden State Warriors and Cleveland Cavaliers was kind of a worn-out thing there for a while, but the series, I think, going in, no one expected it to be a very good series, and it ended up being one of the best series that I've seen in a long time. What do you think about the whole, the series in general?
Yeah, man, I think you nailed it. I think that's what was great about it. It was an entertaining series. It was back and forth. You thought maybe the Warriors were going to come back. Look, we were playing the champs, man. We never thought that this was we've been solid all year, all season long, all through the playoffs, on the road. It didn't matter where we were playing. Our clutch guys they were clutch. You know what I mean? Lowry came up, the Claw, everybody
Drake.
Up. Everybody, man.
Drake.
Yeah, Drake. You know what? I'll say this about Drake. I'm you talked to me 2-3 years ago, couldn't stand the guy. Not that I love him now, but I respect the fact that he's out there repping the city. You know, we got Mr. Justin Bieber that's from the same area, and you never hear him talking about Canada or Toronto or anything, right? Yep. So I give props to Drake for that, and he did have a big part in building what this team represents from the country and the whole Jurassic Park, man. You guys should see that thing live.
Yeah, I mean, I see it on TV and it looks ridiculous, and I think that, if some of the American teams had that sort of passion there, I think that the finals would be even more interesting. But yeah, I think you see some teams even like the Miami Heat, even when they were in their heyday, if you turned in on the first quarter, the stands were empty. It wasn't until second or third quarter that they got filled up, even with LeBron James being there. It was kind of crazy to see that. Whereas in Toronto, they're lining up before the game even starts for a regular season game.
2 days, some of those people in the rain, they were out there for 2 days, some of those people.
It's crazy. Yeah, I remember going to a Cavs game, in between the 2 LeBron sessions when he was there, and you could just, it was like you could move down to whatever seats you wanted. They were just giving them away.
Yep, true story. Living here in Washington D.C. with the Wizards, and before that the Bullets, their TV commercials a lot of times they're advertising the other team. It's like, come see Kobe Bryant and the Lakers play your Washington Wizards, and not even promoting their team. They're promoting the team that they're playing against. It's pretty crazy.
It's like baseball season here.
Yeah. All right, so kind of talk a little bit about some basketball there. Let's go ahead and get to what we're doing tonight. So tonight we're going to talk about some of the top 5 guys at each position that are under 25 years of age. We've all got our guys written down. We didn't talk about it before the podcast, so we don't know what everybody's going to be giving out. So we're going to do that obviously in a little bit here. We're going to do some news and notes first, and then after the break we're going to give away a entry to the Scott Fish Bowl, which all 3 of us got our invites for. So excited about that. It's my second year in. JD, how many years have you been in the Scott Fish Bowl?
This will be my 3rd.
Nice.
And yeah, man, it's just it's my favorite time of the year, man. The draft, like in July, because my work-wise, like real life-wise, June is just bananas. But July comes, I get like a couple months where it's a little more chillax, so I just get to enjoy the Scott Fish Bowl. And yeah, man, first year I did brutal. Last year I did I got into the wild card.
Nice.
And then I got smoked. So this year I'm hoping to go a little farther. But yeah, man, there's nothing better than that. And it's just fun to kind of the whole donation part of it. You know what I mean? It's it's a great charity. It's a great cause. So it's a nice way to make fantasy matter a bit more than it does to us, like I like to call us degenerates.
Yeah, I agree. I think last year, like I said, it was my first year in, and it was just kind of cool to see like all the, from the smallest guy to the highest guy sort of just come together, and everyone's talking on Twitter and talking in the league, and it was really cool to kind of see that. So I'm excited this year to have a better showing than I did last year. I was actually in the division with the guy that went undefeated for the whole entire regular season. And then he had the highest points in the league as well. So I played in that division. So I didn't do very well because I had him in my division. But I hope this year I have a better showing. All right, let's get to some news and notes really quick here. Just a couple things that I wanted to touch on tonight. The first one I got on here is Leonard Fournette came out and said that he expects to be a bigger part of the passing game. I think the biggest knock on him has always been that he's not involved in the passing game. They always had TJ Yeldon there, et cetera, et cetera. So Ryan, talk about Fournette a little bit. Does he rise in your rankings with this, or do you think he's just talking at his ass?
I mean, I'm fairly high on Fournette as it is. Like, he's just on the outside my custom RB1s. I believe he can do it. We've never seen him not do it. Just because a running back doesn't have balls thrown to him doesn't mean that he can't do it. It's just the offense. And we know Foles likes to dump it off. I don't think he's going to be running routes or anything, but I think he's going to maybe be a safety valve for him.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm the same boat as you, too. I mean, they didn't really sign anybody to be that passing down running back, so almost by default, it has to be Leonard Fournette. What do you think, JD, about Fournette?
Well, let's just remember, one of my favorite sleepers this year, TJ Yeldon, is leaving 78 targets behind, right, in Jacksonville. So, I mean, Fournette, 48 targets in 2017, 26 targets in 8 games in 2018. So it's not like he hasn't been part of that passing game. I think they're going to run him to the ground this year. I'm with you, Ryan. He's a guy I'm buying right now. He's one of those guys that people are worried about injuries and, in Jacksonville right now. They have Armstead that comes in. Yeah, he's got potential, but Fournette is on a whole other level. And when this guy's on the field, he's a machine, man.
It's just staying healthy.
He's a tank, man. He put up, 3 touchdowns against Pittsburgh in the playoffs a couple years ago. Yep. This guy's a guy you want on your roster, and at the price he's going right now, he's falling 3rd, 4th round. I've seen him. If you pick up receivers early in your best balls or your startups, and you start with Fournette, that's not bad, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you guys see the video of him and Jalen Ramsey by any chance?
No, I missed
is that recent?
Huh?
Is that recent?
Yeah, it was, I think, yesterday, where Ramsey was talking about breaking the bank, getting paid, and saying he had to put him on layaway. And it was like them two Snapchat. It was hilarious.
I'm going to have to check that out.
They messed up. They didn't pay me this year, and they did. Now the price has gone up.
They didn't pick up his option, right, Ramsey?
Yep. Nope. No, they did not pick it up. All right, next one on the list here, we got something coming from the Philadelphia Inquirer that Dallas, I don't know if it's Goddard. I never know how to pronounce his name, if it's Goddard or Goddard. They said that he looks capable of stardom. If you're a Zach Ertz owner, are you worried about Dallas Goddard at all, JD?
So I'm French, so we call it Goder.
That's the third pronunciation I've heard of it now.
Sticking with that one.
I've got where I've got Ertz, I've pretty much got Mr. Goddard, and I even have him by himself. The nice thing with Goddard, he's a standalone. He's showed really well last year. He's shown he can do it on the field. He's in an awesome offense. You want him with a young quarterback as a tight end. Look, Ertz is there. We all know the contract situation. We all know he probably overperformed last year. There were a lot of pieces missing in that offense due to injuries and, just them kind of changing with regards to running backs and all that kind of stuff. I see this year Ertz maybe having a lower ceiling. I see Goddard being more involved, especially in the red zone, and I just like having him on my bench. We're going to talk about him a little later when we talk about our tight ends in our 25 under 25.
Nice. What do you think, Ryan, about Goddard? Are you buying him in any of your dynasty leagues?
If I can pick him up on the cheap, these news coming up doesn't help you buy him on the cheap, but I like him for the long term. I don't think I'm going to be starting him anywhere this year, but you never know the tight end position. Plus, we have no idea what the Eagles' offense looks like for 2018. There's a lot of mouths to feed.
Yep, that's a good point there because they have that rookie, that's good in the red zone too. Arcega Whiteside, he's a good red zone option that's going to take some targets away. And Alshon too, exactly, a healthy Alshon this year.
Years 3 or 4 though, I love Goddard.
Yeah, I agree.
Goddard. However we're saying Goddard now. We're sticking with that.
I like what you said too, Ryan, about him as a starter. So what I'd like to say is he's definitely not a starter. In tight end preem, he's nice to have as kind of your tight end 2 or 3. But I feel like if you're going to get him a little earlier because of the value that he has right now in Dynasty, you can still pick him up and then wait later and get one of those older guys. Because I don't know if you guys noticed in these startups, but those old guys are all sitting there deep, even in tight end preems.
Yep.
You've got Olsen there, you've got Reed, you've got, you name it. Anyone over like 30 is sitting there. And those are productive tight ends. So if you pair him up with one of those productive guys, if you don't have Ertz, I think that's a nice combo to have.
Yep, agreed. Yeah. All right, the next, I got 2 notes here that kind of go hand in hand. One of them is that Theo Riddick is on the roster bubble, which is no surprise there. And then the Detroit Free Press kind of gave a projection on Kerryon Johnson catching 60 passes this year. I think if Riddick is gone, that's a good possibility. What do you think about Kerryon? I know you're kind of against Kerryon a little bit, Ryan, because you don't like the coach there. But what do you think of this news here with the 60 catches?
I like the idea of him catching some balls out of the backfield. If Theo Riddick's gone, I think that opens it up a lot. So I'm hoping he doesn't make the roster bubble. Not for his sake, because, he's a solid dude, and he'll find his way somewhere. But I'd like to see Kerryon get the targets, especially because we're kind of struggling for running backs in those mid-rounds. But I could see him 30, 40 passes.
Yeah.
I don't know about the 60 range.
Yeah, 60 puts him in elite category. What about you, JD? What do you think of that situation there with Kerryon and Theo Riddick?
Yeah, that's basically doubling what he did last year. He had 32 receptions, but he only played 11 games. I keep saying Detroit, for me, is one of those offenses that people are not necessarily sleeping on, but I think they're forgetting that this offense had nothing last year, man. They had they had Kenny G that was there in his second year. He wasn't involved at all his first year, so they put him in a situation where the offense got to basically run through him when Kerryon went down. Marvin Owens, Ebron out. So I think this offense is, and again, I talk about this a lot. Second year they're going in with Patricia running that roster or running that team. Different offense that they had to adapt to last year. Stafford had to adapt. So I think this offense as a whole is going to elevate itself, and I think that it's doable. I don't think Riddick has any value right now, but I think it's doable if you look at kind of the progression that he'll have, the evolution of this offense, and the role that they should give him. And look, he looked good last year, man.
Yeah, he definitely did.
I just brought up my projections for me. Took a look. I had Kerryon at 46 before this news. So yeah, I think 60's in play. Thinking about that more, and I had Theo for 62. So spread that out amongst Kerryon, the tight ends, and maybe a couple of like Amendola.
Yeah,
but it's not all going to go to one player.
Like 5 to 7 a game, and last year he's averaging about 3. So you got to think with, again, he's going to be a bigger part of that offense. I think it's doable. I think it's probably on the, closer to the ceiling. Personally.
Yeah, I agree 100% with both of you. I think if Theo Riddick does end up, getting cut, that it opens up Kerryon Johnson quite a bit there. I think that, if he gets that workload, he definitely has an elite capability as long as he can stay healthy.
And let's just one thing we didn't mention just quickly is Hawk is going to be in that in that short game as long as he's on the field, so he might carry on passing game.
Yep, good call there, Ryan. Your dog's going crazy again tonight. All right, let's do a couple more notes here. Just a couple ones that are kind of a smaller note. James Conner, he actually came out and said that he expects the Steelers to spread out the touches pretty evenly between him and Jalen Samuel. Usually you don't hear that from the running back expected to be the workload, the workhorse there. What do you think of that coming from James Conner, Ryan? I'll go to you first since you live in Pittsburgh.
I think a lot of it's talk. I mean, I think he's going to get a solid amount of carries, but maybe not that absurd workload that we've seen Le'Veon Bell get in the past years. And I think Benny Snell's going to see more of those carries than Samuels will. Samuels is a receiving back. He's not really that banger between the tackles like the other two. I think that if those carries go somewhere, it's going to get more towards Snell. But maybe where he had 20 touches a game last year, we might see him down to like 17 or 18, which is still fine for production for starting running back.
Yeah, that's a good call there. What about you? What do you think of James Conner, JD?
He's a guy I'm fading. Just his price tag for me is way up there. He dropped some pretty important balls last year, especially towards the end of the season. I'm actually on the other end of that with Samuels. I was saying today in a couple leagues where I picked him up, he's another guy. I just find he's falling. He's falling in startups, and I find he's actually a very versatile running back. And you got to remember, his college coach is coming up to Pittsburgh to, in my opinion, involve him more into this offense. He's coming into his second year. I don't know that Connor is necessarily going to run this offense, but I think if you look at price and value, for me, I'm picking up a lot of Jalen Samuels right now. I called him the Kamara 2.0 of 2018. I think that he could easily. They're already talking in camp that they're lining him up with Connor on the field at the same time.
Yep.
So I could see that, especially with AB gone and those targets that are freed up. I could see Samuel getting a pretty significant role in this offense. I'm hoping, anyways. And even if he doesn't, at the price you're getting him at, and you mentioned Snell. Shout out to Swag. He was our guest on this week on the Goat District podcast. He's a huge fan of Benny Snell. Another guy that's going super cheap. 3rd, 4th round of rookie drafts. One injury, man. And this, one of these two guys is going to take over that backfield. And even if they split it, there's enough offense there to make fantasy owners happy.
Yep. 100% agree with everything y'all just said. All right, we'll hit one more here before we get off to our top 5 under 25. And it's going to Stony Michele with the knee scope. It's a minor procedure, but he hasn't practiced since May 20th, I believe. Obviously they got Damian Harris there. They got James White. Rex Burkhead is still there. Are we worried about Stony Michele at all, JD?
Fournette, Sony, and who else did we talk about here? Fournette, Sony, and Gurley are 3 guys that I don't know if people have just short memories. Maybe it's because I'm super old and my experience is kind of kicking in. But I'm not afraid of these guys, man. People are worried about running backs here. They're bringing a running back in Henderson in LA. I understand the opportunity with if Gurley goes down, that offense and all that. Same with New England. But we got to remember, Sony was a 1st round draft pick. He performed really well last year. I was huge on Sony going into last year. He's going into an offense that was going from a pass-happy offense to a running offense, which we're seeing that's going to keep increasing this year. As long as he's healthy and he's on the field, just like Fournette and just like Gurley, these guys produce in a way that you're not going to easily replace. And I think people think that Henderson and Harris, as much as Damian Harris is one of the 2 guys that I was loving before even the NFL draft, Hill was the other guy, and he's versatile. Again, I think New England just saw when Sony couldn't get on the field, they had White. Burkhead was injured most of the time, so it's not like he could come in and replace Sony. I just think these are strong offenses that understand they need depth at what positions because of what they experienced the year before. Same with LA, man. They're bringing in Henderson. I don't think this guy's going to take over this offense, and Gurley's just going to sit there with an ice pack on his knee. I'm not worried about it, man. To me, those three guys, this is the opportunity for Fantasyland to buy them and get yourself a serious RB1 at a reduced price.
I'm glad to hear you say that, man, because I'm an owner of Stony Michele in my main Dynasty League. Granted, he's my RB4 in that league, so I'm not super worried about him, but I would like to get the Stony Michele that we saw towards the end of last year and into the playoffs as my RB4 would be a nice luxury to have, so hopefully you're right on that. Ryan, what do you think of the situation here with Stony Michele? Are you on the same side as JD?
I agree with two of the three guys he mentioned. I agree with the Fournette and the Gurley ones, so I'm not as worried about them. Sony scares me, man. He's had some serious knee injuries. And if we're going to be honest, both coming out of college, I liked Harris more than Stony Michele. I've never been a Stony Michele guy. I think he's kind of a one-dimensional back when it comes to running the ball. He's similar to Tevin Coleman in my eyes with that, but sorry about your 49ers comment on that. But no, I think Harris is a more versatile back, and I think he's going to be somebody the Patriots will find use for, and they really like so far. But I'm staying away from Michele, but the price is there, and he's dropping. I'll still take the chance.
All right.
I'll send low ball offers for him on trades, like real low ball offers.
I got offered Fournette for my Gurley share. I have like 3 shares of Gurley, and they sent me straight up Fournette for Gurley. I insta rejected that, but just the one thing I like to talk about New England, just really quickly, is the word trust. And if you earn the trust of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, you're going to get on the field, you're going to get opportunities. And that's what happened to Sony last year. He gained the trust. I just think he does more this year. As long as he's healthy and look, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to start saying, Gurley's knee is this bad and Sony's is that bad. I'm not a doctor, man. And it doesn't seem like anyone else knows what's going on.
Right.
So I gotta go with where I see possible production from these guys versus the other people going where in the same range. Right now, Sony was falling. I think I did a best ball on FFPC today. He fell in the beginning of the 6th round, I believe.
Wow.
If you pick up Fournette in the 4th and then you pick up Sony after you stacked up your receivers, you've got a nice starting lineup right there.
Yep, that's a good call there.
It's risky, but any running back is risky, man.
Yep. Yep, agreed.
Ethan's the reason. Ethan Turner, who was on our show a few weeks ago.
He is a doctor. He is
He's
actually a doctor.
He's scared about Sony. He was not feeling good about it.
Yeah, I think he was going over his main injury history and everything. I think the thing with Stony Michele, if he is healthy, going back to that trust factor, as an owner of him last year, the big thing with Big Bill Belichick is don't fumble the ball. And coming into last year, that was a big thing on Stony Michele, was that he fumbled the ball quite a bit in college. And, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I can't remember a fumble of his last year that was lost. So
he had 2 drops last year.
He had 2 fumbles that he recovered, or?
No, I'm trying to see about the fumbles. I know he's got 2 drops on his 11 targets, which is pretty low. But again, I think even those targets go up a bit this year. If I find it, I'll let you know.
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
So the Patriots is kind of what we were talking off air before we got on here about the Colts. How you saw Marlon Mack when they had the lead, getting the ball, and when they were down, you'd see Nyheim Hines.
Yep.
We see the same thing with the Patriots and James White and Sony Michele, or whoever the banger's going to be.
Yep.
So you just kind of have to play them off of their matchups.
Yep, agreed.
You want your running backs on good offenses, man. And the Colts and the Patriots are 2 of the best in the game. And their RB1 I say do it. And right now is a good time to get actually both, because Mac is a guy going out of value.
Agreed. All right, that wraps up the news and notes. We're going to kick off our top 5 under 25 with the quarterback position, which I think is a fairly easy position until you get down to like 4 or 5 maybe. And we'll count them down from 1 to 5. I know originally I was going to do 5 to 1, but I think we determined after going through it that going 1 to 5 would be a little bit more interesting. So we'll start with you, JD, the guest here. Go ahead and give us your top guy. I have a feeling I probably know who it is, but go ahead and give it to us.
At QB, sorry?
At QB, yep.
My number 1 guy right now is Deshaun Watson.
Surprised me a little bit.
You make me so happy.
So I think that it's not that I think Pat Mahomes is completely going to, shit the bed or anything. I just think that Mahomes just lost. Oh, not sorry. Let me rephrase that. There's a good chance that Mahomes loses Hill. Even if he doesn't, you look at history and what he did last year. It's very hard, and you've heard this a million times. It's very hard for him to repeat that.
Yep.
So you got to incorporate regression. What I look at is Watson and what he can do on the ground, and he's a top 3 or 4 at anything related to whether it's red zone rushes, whether it's yards rushed at the position, rush attempts. So that to me right there, you've created a really nice floor, and this guy can ball, man. Like the problem with this team that's around him is health. He was lost a couple years ago. We haven't seen Will Fuller put on a full season since he's come into the league. Kiki Kuti has, not similar, but he's also injury concern, I guess you could say. However, I think that Deshaun Watson, dude is not even 24 yet. He's just a winner. He's a beast. He showed us what he can do. And I think with that floor that he's got kind of instilled, cemented in there and how high it is, the sky's the limit, man. And I think that he takes over that number 1 position at the quarterback going into 2019.
All right. You did surprise me a little bit there. Ryan, give us your top quarterback and talk about Watson a little bit, unless he is your top quarterback.
So I was going back and forth between the two, and I kind of pansied out. But I'm going to say Watson. I had him as my number 1. I had him outscoring Mahomes. My projection was about 2 points this year. And I like what's around him. We didn't specify if we were doing this off of situation or actual player. So that kind of had me up in the air. But I'm going to go with Watson. I love what's around him. What he can do with his legs is fantastic. I hate to say it. I think we saw Mahomes' best season of his career. I'm not saying he's going to be bad. I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be a fantastic quarterback and a franchise guy for the NFL and face the NFL for a long time. But he ain't going to throw for that many yards and that many touchdowns again. Nobody's thrown for that many touchdowns.
What you said there, Ryan, is key. Is Mahomes is already number 1. He's already had a historic season. Fantasy points per game, Watson was number 4 last year. He's got room to grow, man. And he's got room to grow because he's young. The team around him is young, and that kind of running aspect of his value. But I think what you said there is key with regards to when you're comparing the two. But let's face it, we're flipping a coin here. I mean, this guy in your app,
And then with Hill, just if you took all of Hill's targets and brought them to the average yards per catch of a top 24 wide receiver, it's 500 yards off of Pat Mahomes' total.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Just having him to
an average
Julio
receiver.
Jones' yards per catch is, drops Mahomes 500 yards.
Wow.
And what was his total?
What? Hold on. Last year, it was. Hold on, I have this right here.
Trying to pull it up. Canadian here.
He had 5,097 yards. That drops him to 4,500 yards.
There you
just
go.
Off that yards per carry, or off the Hill's yards. And that puts him at 6th, right between Luck and Rodgers, which is still fantastic.
All right.
And Hill flips the field.
Cool.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said field, and Hill flips the field and puts them in scoring position with those long bombs.
Yep.
And just keeping it simple, Mahomes is going to get better. Maybe not his stats, but just as a quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
This is technically his 2nd season. Even though it's his 3rd. So either one of these guys is. I was like you, Ryan. I was going back and forth. I kept switching him in my Excel sheet, between the two. Yeah. But I think those are pretty much your top 2 guys when you're looking at dynasty quarterbacks.
Yeah, agree 100%. I did have Mahomes number 1 overall, just because I think with the Andy Reid there and that offense, the way it looked last year, I don't think that's going to change too much. But again, like you said, with Watson, it's a coin flip. You can go either Watson or Mahomes here, and I had Watson at number 2 and Mahomes at number 1, but I guess my coin flip landed on heads, yours landed on tails. So, so let's go ahead and take the number 3 quarterback here, Ryan. We'll go to you first. I'm assuming you had Mahomes too. So who do you have at number 3?
I got Mayfield. He's made me a little bit nervous calling out teammates right now, but the talent's there. It's inevitable. He can sling the rock. He's creative. he makes big plays, he takes chances, and he's going to put up a ton of points. And he has a team that is committed to building around him, which is key, man. They got him, OBJ, Landry, surrounded with weapons, surrounded with a good line, and they gave him the keys to the kingdom. I hate that he's in my team's division, but he's fantastic.
Definitely going with Baker at number 3 as well for me. What about you, JD? Is Baker your number 3 as well?
Yeah, I've got him at number 3. I just I just keep seeing what year was it when Philadelphia was just stacked and they called themselves the Dream Team?
Oh yeah,
that's the same, man.
I keep seeing that happening. Like in the GOAT leagues, Baker Mayfield is a hot topic. Shout out to the GOAT league owners, greatest owners out there. But it's just hilarious, man. You watch, like, if you're not a big Browns fan or a Mayfield's fan, you're just hating on the Karate Kid Mayfield, whatever it is. And him talking about Duke Johnson's money. Shout out to Randy. Like, it's just, there's too much soap opera, in my opinion. Serious quarterbacks like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, those guys come to work. And if this guy's sitting there answering questions about his, third string running back or second string running back and his contract, and that's where I think the maturity level needs to increase before this team is successful. But he's number 3.
Right. Like, maturity's going to come. He's just young right now. We're doing a list of guys under 25. They're all young. A lot of them are going to do dumb stuff.
Yep.
And let's face it, he's got OBJ there to show him how to be mature.
Yeah. Let's learn from that guy. All right.
Consummate professional.
We got a consensus there at number 3. I also went with Mayfield there. I'm going to go ahead and give you my 4th. I think that this is where it gets a little bit interesting. I actually looked at Carson Wentz here, but didn't realize that he's actually 26 years old, so obviously Carson Wentz doesn't fall into the criteria that we deserve here. So my number 4 is actually Jared Goff. He came into the league and, he was bad-mouthed and everything else because, he just number 1 overall pick, couldn't even get on the field his first year. Then he gets McVay, and all of a sudden he's like one of the better quarterbacks in the league. And I think McVay, being the offensive genius that he is going to continue to grow that offense, put weapons around Goff. And I think for his long-term career, I think Goff is going to end up being one of the better quarterbacks we have in this league. So my number 4 is Goff. Ryan, we'll go to you. Who's your number 4 quarterback?
Goff. He's a perfect example of do not let a rookie season sway your opinion of a player.
Lamar Jackson.
And do not sell though. That's wrong. We may talk about that.
All right, JD, who do you have at number 4? Do you have Goff as well?
Comes back to patience, man. Fantasy land, we got to be a bit more patient with these. These are kids. These guys are coming into the league. Here's a gajillion dollars. Here's a Ferrari. Here's, cameras in your face. Mine is actually, he's my number 5, is Goff. Him and Trubisky and Lamar Jackson are kind of, roll the dice, take any one of these guys at 5. I got to put Kyler Murray at 4, though. Age-wise, he's 3 to 4 years younger. He's 21. He's the hot topic right now. So I'm always thinking on a trade value basis, and I think Kyler Murray's value right now is higher than Jared Goff's, Trubisky, and even Lamar Jackson's. So I would prefer Kyler Murray as my number 4. He's got tons of weapons. He's got, coach who's been following this guy since he's been wearing diapers. I just think that the ceiling and the floor is above. But again, I think any of these 4 guys that I mentioned can be your number 4 quarterback. But I got to go with age and, ceiling, I guess you could call it.
All right, good stuff there. We were trying to avoid using rookies, but we'll accept Kyler Murray as a number 4 quarterback there. I like that. I think.
Sorry, man. You're right.
That's okay.
That's
okay.
You're good, man. I almost put him in mine too because I just think that his value right now is higher than any other rookie that's out there as far as positions. I think that he's probably your best option to be a top 5 guy under 25 right now. So I do like me some Kyler Murray. I also
an all overrated article that I usually say no rookies on, but I made an exception this year.
And you
with the same guy. So that's okay.
The position.
My number 5, you mentioned him, is Mitch Trubisky. I had a couple guys there right at the 5 with Mitch Trubisky. I put Sam Darnold in there, expecting maybe that he's a better year 2 than he had a year 1. Lamar Jackson is in the mix, and even Josh Allen with his rushing ability. I think can fall into that, that top 5 there. But I ultimately went with Mr. Trubisky because he's kind of already done it. He's had a top fantasy season already, and I think that we've seen him do it. So I think that he gets the slight edge over those other couple guys I mentioned there. So Trubisky's by number 5. Who do you got, Ryan? I know who you got, so go ahead and mention him.
So I got Lamar. I feel like I don't even need to get into him because if you can go to any show I've ever recorded anywhere, he always gets brought up. I think his rushing's there, obviously. His passing is not as bad as people make it out to be. He only struggled passing to Crabtree and John Brown because they're not good. And they built that team around him to fit what he does best, just adding speed everywhere. I kind of want to talk about my number 6 guy who just missed the cut. That's Sam Darnold. I think he has all the raw tools. He reminds me a lot of Jameis Winston when he came out, where he needs that good coaching, which I'm a little worried about, but the talent's there, man. He has that cannon of an arm. He has ultimate confidence. He's comfortable being the face of that franchise. He's a guy who I could see jumping way up there if they commit to building around him and making that the right situation for him. I think he's one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league. If I was, I'd consider like him the kind of talent who could pass up a Mayfield because he has literally everything you want in a quarterback.
Yeah, good stuff there. Anybody else you want to mention, JD? Anybody that kind of almost got into your top 5 that you haven't talked about yet?
No, like I mentioned, Goff, Trubisky, and Lamar. I think all 3 of these guys right now are not necessarily undervalued because they're going at a nice ADP, but I think some guys are sleeping on them in the sense that that patience factor again. Let's remember Trubisky. This guy's been playing quarterback for 6 months. Like he barely played quarterback in college. So
13 games.
Let's give this guy time to people. I talk about it when it's receivers with quarterback relationship or rapport on the field. Similar here, man. Let these guys grow. Goff. This guy was with Fisher. Look at the night and day that we saw when McVay came in. He's only going into really his second full season with McVay. So to me, these guys are just going to get better. Lamar Jackson, they shipped out Flacco. Flacco's gone. There's a reason.
Marty Morningway's gone. It's the big piece.
and you said it, Lamar Jackson, I think, and we talked about it prior to pressing the red record button there, I think he's going to surprise throwing the ball. He came in last year, I think it was week 11, where he was actually starting, week 11 or 12.
Yep.
This is a young kid. Again, we just talked about it. Let him adapt to the league. Let him have a full off season. I think Lamar Jackson, considering again where he's going and the floor that he offers as a runner, I think he's a nice value, man. And you mentioned Darnold. I like Darnold a lot. I just worry about what's going on in New York just in general in that offense.
He's so raw.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm staying away. I think once it settles in and we see there's a bit of stability in that franchise, I might invest more. But I do like Darnold as an individual, as a quarterback.
You can buy him for pennies, which is great.
Yep, definitely. All right, let's go ahead and do our tight ends real quick before the break. We'll kind of go through these really quickly, and then we'll try to get the rest of the stuff after the break here. So top 5 tight ends. JD, we'll go to you first. Who is your number 1 under 25 tight end?
O.J. Howard. O.J. Howard all around. The offense he's in. Bruce Arians coming in. This guy's, I put out a tweet. I made the mistake. You guys will feel this. I put out a mistake, way back early in the offseason about Bruce Arians and tight ends.
Yep.
And, you know how harsh Twitter can be. but OJ,
shout out Raiders Twitter.
Yeah, but you know what? It makes you as an analyst or what the hell you want to call us, people who like to drink beer and talk. I see. Guys, it's more my French are kicking in, but you kind of review what your thoughts are on certain guys, right? And OJ Howard's kind of, to me, it's totally flipped, man. I just see tons of opportunity. I think Bruce Arians, like a lot of people have mentioned, he's going to highlight the guys with talent. And he's gonna do everything he can to make Winston succeed. I think he likes Winston. And I think this offense is going to blow up. And I think OJ Howard's going to be a big part of that. So he's my number 1 right now. But there's 3 or 4 really nice tight ends that are under 25 right now, even 5 that we're going to talk about.
Yeah. I think with OJ Howard, I've seen that tweet too. Bruce Arians doesn't use his tight ends, this and that. But really, if you look at it, like Carson Palmer doesn't like his tight ends. Because you even go back to when he was with Cincinnati, he didn't use his tight ends very much, and he was there for the most part in Arizona. And Jameis Winston's on the opposite end. Winston loves his tight ends. He threw to what's his name? Can't think of the guy's name right now. Cameron Brate. Yeah, thank you.
Loves Cameron Brate.
Yeah, I mean, he made that guy a household name, and he wasn't even that good coming out of college. And I think with O.J. Howard, with the talent and the athletic ability that he has, and Winston just loving that quarterback that tight end position, I think that O.J. Howard is definitely be my tight end one as well, under 25. So I love me some O.J. Howard. I think he has a huge season. The biggest knock on him right now is just staying healthy. So hopefully he can stay healthy for a full 16, and we'll see what he can put up this year. Ryan, you got O.J. Howard at number 1 as well?
Yep, you guys said enough about him. Make it a consensus.
All right, consensus. Let's go ahead, number 2 then, Ryan. Who you got your number 2 tight end?
Evan Ingram. OBJ is gone. Someone got to catch targets. I love Sterling Shepard, but Evan Ingram in the red zone. Evan Ingram's on the stretch of the field down the middle. He's ridiculous athlete. He's more athletic than their wide receivers. Like, Evan Ingram's a star type player, and now with Odell there, he's their second best offensive weapon behind Barkley. So I think he's locked in that spot for now.
Yeah, I think Evan Engram actually might be their field stretcher with the guys they got there with Sterling Shepard and Golden Tate being mostly the underneath guys. I think, in a unique situation, kind of like last year with the 49ers, is Kittle became that field stretcher. I think that Ingram now becomes their field stretcher at the tight end position, which is kind of a unique thing to be in. What about you, JD? You got Ingram at number 2?
I do, man. I think he's just going to gobble up targets out there in New York. You guys said it. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. It's interesting to me that they bring in a guy like Tate when they have Shepard there already. But you know what? We'll see if they use him in a versatile way or they just stick him in the slot and see if Shepard can kind of be that number 1 guy. But I think Ingram is definitely going to eat tons of targets in that offense because look, there's those 4 guys. And he, like you guys both mentioned, is the second most talented guy there. So he should be getting the second most targets in that offense.
Yep, agreed. I think, JD, I know you had that website pulled up earlier, but if you look at the splits between, with Odell Beckham and without Odell Beckham for Ingram, I think it heavies, it's very heavy in the without Odell Beckham that, Ingram had most of his big games, with Odell Beckham off the field. So I think that kind of continues with Shepard and Tate being there. I think he still goes back to being that, that top tight end there. Number 3, JD, who do you got at number 3?
So I was going to give you that answer with regards to so he hasn't played a game without Shepard.
No, without OBJ. Without OBJ is what I was talking about.
Oh, without OBJ. Not a problem.
Ryan, go ahead. While JD's looking that up, go ahead and talk about your number 3 tight end.
My number 3 tight end? This is the guy I'm most excited to talk about, who you sniped from me earlier today.
In the right Andrews.
Hot take. I love it.
Mark Andrews is my number 7 overall redraft too. He stretched the field. He was fantastic last year. Since 2012, only 2 tight ends have had more receiving yards the rookie season than Andrews. He was in the top 5 of multiple efficiency categories. He was number 3 in average target distance. He was number 9 in target separation for tight ends. He was number 2 in yards per reception. Yards per target, he was number 2. In target quality rating, he was number 3. He was ultra efficient. Jackson trusted him. I know they were going to run 2 and 3 tight end sets. Hayden Hurst, people are kind of afraid of him, but their roles are completely different. And Nick Boyle is just a blocker. Andrews is that safety blanket. I have him leading the Ravens in targets and catches this year.
Wow.
I think I have him catching around 60 to 65 balls. I think he's a star in the making. I'm going to get real bold with it. He's like a like skill set where he can
take.
Nice. Good stuff.
I like it, man.
I like it a lot.
I made that comparison before he was a Raven. Just throwing that out there.
Just to go back to the Ingram before I love that call on Mark, but so 7 in split, so basically he played 7 games, Ingram and OBJ, 4 out split, literally double the amount of PPR points when OBJ was not in the game.
Yep.
So an extra couple receptions. Yeah, like just completely yardage, double in yardage, just literally double the amount of points. So 8.8 points while they're both on the field, and almost 16 points.
Wow.
Game. That's a big difference, man. So you guys are actually just looking at this. It's making me like Ingram even more.
Yeah.
All right, who do you have here at number 3, JD? You have Mark Andrews as well, or you got somebody else?
Mr. David Njoku. I think there's two guys in Cleveland right now that people are, not that they're sleeping on, but they just, OBJ or bust type of approach with that Cleveland offense. I'm gobbling up where I can for cheap is our Landry and Njoku. I think Njoku, you want your tight end, similar to your running back tied up to a great offense, you want your tight end tied up to a young quarterback that's in a good offense. And, Mayfield, we talked about it. He's, number 3, number 4 at worst, top 5 at least as a quarterback in Dynasty. And Njoku's a nice, big, athletic target. Look, the defenses are going to be looking at OBJ. Landry's there to take away some attention. I think Njoku and, another deep sleeper is even Antonio Callaway for me. I think these two guys are kind of gonna be the forgotten guys, and I think we're gonna see, especially Njoku, kind of in that red zone. He's gonna be a nice target for Mayfield. So I like Njoku in the number 3 spot. And look, man, he's not even 23 yet, so he's the youngest out of my top 5.
Yeah, he's 22. He's my youngest as well.
Good stuff there. I actually have Njoku at 3, and then Mark Andrews at 4, and I think you both talked about them both enough. So I'm gonna give you my number 5, and I'm sure it won't be the most popular opinion here because he didn't have a very good rookie season. He was very, sort of touted as being a big rookie, and I know Ryan's a big hater of this guy. But that's Mike Gesicki for the Dolphins. I got him at number 5. I think I think he has a big season this year. I think that he's bulked up a little bit because I think the knock on him was he was a little bit soft last year. He kind of got knocked around a little bit. He did bulk up. I think he put on like 15 to 20 pounds this offseason. If you look at his player profiler, he's 90 percentile in pretty much every metric you can possibly have. I think as a tight end with Rosen being there, as a young quarterback, like you mentioned, young quarterbacks love to throw to tight end because it's over the middle, it's easiest throw to make, and so I think that Gesicki is going to be a huge breakout this year, and I think he creeps into that top 5 under 25 for me. And Ryan, we'll go to you first because I know you hate Mike Gesicki. So who's your number 5?
I just want to say the combine and all that testing doesn't test for being soft. But my number 5 is Hunter Henry, another guy I'm not really a huge fan of, but he's that end zone threat. Rivers likes him. He should be healthy, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do. Then I have one guy once we're done I want to mention who almost put ahead of him. But I'm going with Hunter Henry.
All right, Hunter Henry. Who do you got at number 5, JD? Or did you give your 4 yet? Is your 4 already been out there?
So my number 4 is Hunter Henry, and my 5 is Goddard. Monsieur Goddard. And you mentioned a guy that, I can't. I'm the worst at like quoting people and where I got the reference, but somebody was talking about in Miami this year, just who's in management and who's kind of running that roster right now. And a lot of those pieces are from New England. And we've all seen how well this position is done in that offense. Gesicki's a beast, man. He's an athletic beast. This guy was the hottest thing, last year coming out of the combine. You look at his numbers and it's just off the charts. So again, you see, similar to what we talked with Fisher, this guy was just in a position where maybe he wasn't being used, where he can kind of bloom, or I'm kind of searching for words here, but I think that going into this year, I think he's going to be used properly. I think he's going to be one of the focal points of this offense, and I think that's a nice call, man, by you, Jeff, with regards to Gesicki.
Appreciate that. All right. Anyway, I'll say, Ron, you had one more guy you wanted to mention. Who was the guy you said you almost put above him?
Chris Herndon, man. He's another freak athlete. He's tied to a young quarterback. Nice. He shined with Darnold a little bit last year in Flash. I know he has 2-game suspension to start the season this year, but he's another guy I think he's just very talented in other eyes.
All right, yeah, good stuff there. I love all those guys, and Goddard is kind of or Goddard was a surprise to me. I actually didn't even consider him. That's actually a really good call, though. I like that a lot. All right, let's quickly take a commercial break, guys. When we come back, we'll do running backs and receivers, and of course, we'll give away the Scott Fishbowl entry, which everybody's kind of waiting for. But quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll knock those things out.
Fantasy football. It's not just a social interaction anymore. Today's manager plays to win, and the difference between winning and losing is so small, a manager will do whatever it takes to get an edge. Yet the other sites offer the same content at an extremely high cost. It's time to get away from the old and step into the future of fantasy stats. This is StatRoute. StatRoute allows you to find any data set for any player or team in 7 seconds or less, all on a simple, easy-to-use application. Want to see which running back performed best in the snow last season? How about the past 5 seasons? And in the fourth quarter? Or maybe you're unsure of which quarterback to start for the upcoming week. With our Stats IP technology, you can now quickly see how Matt Stafford has performed in the rain, during the second half of the season, in New York, compared with how Russell Wilson has played during primetime games, at home, versus the Rams' new defensive coordinator, Wade Phillips. At StatRoute, it's our mission to deliver state-of-the-art technology guaranteed to keep you ahead of the curve. So, whether you're a casual football fan, a weekly fantasy trash talker, or a DFS hustler, we've got you covered. Welcome to the new standard for stats delivery. We are StatRoute. Take back your league.
All right, guys, welcome back. I'm here with Ryan and JD of the GOAT District. And JD, I did you a disservice in the first half there. I didn't give you a chance to plug your show, so I'm going to go ahead and give you the opportunity now. Tell us where we can follow you on Twitter and where your show can be found and everything else you want to talk about.
I appreciate that, man. We are the GOAT District. You can find us on any platform. We're a podcast. We come out weekly. We drop you some knowledge on a weekly basis. We're basically looking at player value. Trades is like the core of what we talk about, and our guests are just banging, man. We've had anything from John Bosch to Sal Lito. We had Swag this week. We had Ryan McDowell a couple weeks ago. We've got JP Hurley coming on. Riley Bymaster. I keep saying the same thing, man. I bring on people that are way smarter than me so I can pick their brains and share their knowledge with you guys. And I also run the 3 GOAT leagues, which will turn into 4 later on this summer. But they've become famous just in the sense that kind of what Ryan talked about in that one league where they're at 100 trades. The GOAT leagues are I'll put them up against any league right now. The most active trade leagues on the planet, the greatest owners on the planet. Shout out to Diddy, to Keith, to Eric, Bobby, Randy, Nate, all you GOATs, just killing the game, man, just making it fun. And I've learned from them more than anything. So, yeah, man, we've got the GOAT Leagues, the GOAT Podcast. Check us out. And you talked about the Scott Fishbowl. So if you're not one of these lucky people who win one tonight, Scott has been generous enough to give the GOAT District a Scott Fishbowl 9 entry. So right now, you go give us a 5-star review. You tag us. You got a chance to win that, a Corey Davis signed jersey, or some FFPC $35 best ball entries for free.
Nice. I love it. So if you don't win tonight, guys, check out the GOAT District. And your Twitter handle is at GOAT District, right? There's no the. It's just at GOAT District.
At GOAT District. And my boy Dan, my co-host, this guy's high stakes, high volume. He's a beast, man. He's one of those guys that is a lot better at this game than he maybe lets off. So I love talking to him weekly. Great dude. So tag either one of us. I'm at GOAT District on the end, and he's you tag either one of us, and we'll help you out with your trades or any questions you have with Dynasty.
All right.
Speaking of Corey Davis, any longtime listeners of the show know that Jeff Lambert over here was a huge Corey Davis truther last year.
Yes.
And hated on Ronald Jones more than any player in the world.
Yes.
Yet in our Writers League for GoingFor2.com, Jeff took Ronald Jones over said Corey Davis.
Hey, man.
The times there are changing.
Hey, it's all about opportunity, and I think that Corey Davis's opportunities with the addition of A.J. Brown and the shift towards Derrick Henry as the focal point of their offense takes away opportunity for Corey Davis. And Ronald Jones, it's the opposite for him. They didn't draft anybody. They got Peyton Barber there, who had a RB1 workload and couldn't be an RB1. So I think that they're going to kind of give Rojo the chance there. So opportunity trumps talent all day. I still think Corey Davis is the better talent. And if he got traded today to a team that actually would use him properly, I would definitely be buying him everywhere. But I had to switch up my love for Corey Davis, and I did. I drafted Rojo over him. So it is what it is.
Made me so happy.
Right. Full disclosure, last year I drafted Rojo over Josh Allen in the third round of a Superflex. So my tail between my legs right now. So the Corey Davis isn't so bad. But I will say this: Corey Davis right now, go out and buy. I think he's a buy right now.
Yeah, I had it's okay. Last year I had Rojo right over Stony Michele, so that's cool.
All right,
at Rojo's price though right now. How can you not buy Bruce Arians offer?
Yeah, that's true.
The opportunity,
super cheap. All right, guys, let's go ahead and hit the top 5 running backs under 25, and in the effort to save some time because we are running long, I'm going to assume that Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Zeke, and Kamara are your top 4. So we'll just jump straight to the number 5 guy. I think there's some more intrigue there. And Ryan, we'll go to you first. Who is your number 5 on this list?
Joe Mixon. I love Joe Mixon. I think he is one of the most talented backs in the league. He runs between tackles. He can run outside. He can run routes. He catches the ball well. I think the new offensive coordinator, Zach Taylor, is going to open things up using him possibly. Not going to say they're going to use him like that for sure, but they could see him getting that Todd Gurley type workload where he's the focal point of the offense with using him in multiple ways to get in the ball. He's only 22, and he's explosive. He's everything you want in a workhorse back. He was my number 1 running back coming out that year if it wasn't for the off-field stuff, and I still think he's as talented, if not, than any of the backs from that season.
Yeah, good stuff there. I know, Ryan, when we talked about him last year, I was a hater of Joe Mixon, and I've since come around on that. I actually had 2 guys written down. Mixon was one of them, and then I had Nick Chubb because, I love me some Nick Chubb. But I think Mixon gets the slight edge based on his usage in the passing game. As much as I love Chubb, he doesn't get that usage in the passing game, which kind of knocks him down just a little bit. But if we're looking at just pure runner, if we're just going to say, okay, this guy's going to get 250 carries this year, who do you want? I think I'm taking Nick Chubb over Mixon, but Mixon gets that option in the passing game, so I think he gets the slight edge over Nick Chubb. What about you, JD? You got anybody besides Chubb or Mixon at number 5?
Yeah, I love both those guys, but there's one guy I'm going to squeeze right in between Kamara and Mixon, and that's Todd Gurley. I talked about it early. I know that I understand the risk involved. I understand that Fantasyland right now is not liking Gurley. We haven't heard anything that's making it better, but I don't know that there's a guy out of those top 4 with Barkley, CMC, Easy E, and Kamara that can win you a league like Gurley can. And for me, when you're looking at the running back position, there's always a risk. These guys are always injured. Mixon, there's video of him punching some girl in the head. You know what I mean? Like, every one of these guys has risk. Elliott has risk. The only guy, and, he's becoming more like Barkley and CMC, for me, are kind of your chalk, safe running backs. After that, man, you're kind of holding your breath. Yep. And the higher you invest, the higher the risk, I guess you could say. But if I'm going to reach for one of these guys, not reach, but if I'm going to grab one of these guys, I'm still getting Gurley, man. For me, Gurley's a league winner. And I think right now we're going to look back on this and I don't know. I'm hoping maybe I'm maybe I'm one of those guys that holds him and is open for my own benefit. But anything yet? Overall, and I listen, as much as you guys do, I'm deep into this stuff. I haven't heard anything yet that's turned me off completely from Gurley. I think that, like I said, Fournette, Gurley, and Sony right now are buys, and for me, he's my number 5.
All right, that's actually a really good call because I actually did not know that Gurley was under 25 years old and didn't even look at him. So I just pulled him up just to see, like, he's 24 years old right now. He will be 25 before the season starts, but as of right now, today, he is under 25. So, kudos to you for even knowing that because I thought he was at least 25, if not 26. He just seems like he's been in the league forever. So, great call there. Ryan, what do you think of that Todd Gurley call? Are you still sticking with Mixon?
I'm sticking with Mixon, but I mean, God, that's really hard. Gurley's Gurley. Like I said, he's injury or not, they're all risks. But man, Gurley's good. I'm gonna stick with Mixon just because I'm a truther on him. But it's super close. If you look at the running backs, though, man, out of the top 20, maybe 1, 2. Like just look at the list right now. David Johnson's 27, Melvin Gordon's 26, Lev Bell's 27. Every other top running back's under the age of 25.
Yep.
Like, it's just that position's young. We should have done 25 for every position and, 23 for running back.
Yeah.
That's why you draft them in those rookie drafts, man.
Yep.
That's when you get them cheap. They pop. You got some nice on your roster. They don't. You didn't pay much for them.
Yep.
And, like Jeff he didn't realize Todd Gurley was only 24, and it feels like he's been around forever because the shelf life of running back is a blink of the eye.
Yep.
But you're usually looking in that 24 to 27 range, and he's in the early 24s. So again, look, man, I just found out I got arthritis in my neck from my C2 to my C7, where I got to manage it. But like I was telling my physio guy today, if I go out there and play golf or play any sport, hockey, whatever it is that I like to play, when I'm on the ice, I don't feel shit, man. And this guy's playing NFL top. He's one of the top guys on the planet, period. So I'm telling you, if they manage this guy properly, maybe they take away a couple carries a week, maybe 1 or 2 targets a week. This guy's a game changer. And for me, when I'm investing at the running back position, I want those game changers, and Gurley's one of them. So I'm not shying away. And look, I might be completely wrong, but for me, I look at fantasy and how many shares how much percentage of my ownership am I willing to invest? And I don't mind having, 2 or 3 shares of Gurley because dude's a game winner, man. He's a game changer.
We last week on the show we were talking about, or was it last week? Last show we were talking about his bringing his carries down. We averaged 22 touches a game. I lowered it down to 16 touches, and it still put him as RB7.
Yeah, he was just so far
above.
His
touchdown production, no matter what, is going to be out of this world.
Yeah, he was so far above everybody else that even if you drop him down to 70% of what he was last year, he's still a top running back. It's crazy.
He had 73 red zone touches.
Wow.
Number 1. Not even close.
Yep.
Right,
So
12 touchdowns.
Bring that down to 60. You know what I mean? Bring that down to 60.
If he gets 12 rushing touchdowns and 3 or 4 pass receiving, he's a top 5 back still.
Yep. Yeah, and we had Ethan Turner on, like I mentioned earlier, and he wasn't worried too much about Todd Gurley at all. He said that, this is arthritis, it's something that can be managed. He'll probably be one of those guys that don't practice much during the week. He'll have that questionable call pretty much all season long. He won't practice until probably Thursday or Friday, and he'll get a limited work in, and then he'll come out on game day and just ball out and beat Todd Gurley. So I'm not worried about him either. So I'm with you, JD. I think if you can buy him cheap right now, you go out and you get Todd Gurley for sure. All right, let's jump into our wide receivers now. And JD, we'll go to you first. I think receivers is kind of interesting because a lot of the guys that I thought were under 25 actually were exactly 25, which doesn't qualify for our thing here. I think it was Galladay was in there. I think Mike Evans was 25 years old.
Yeah.
I think
Galladay,
Cooper,
I didn't realize was that old.
Me neither. And Cooper Kupp really surprised me. He's 26. I mean, he's older than both those guys. He just surprised the hell out of me.
That's because they drafted him as an old man.
Yeah, you're right. They definitely did. It surprised me. So we'll go to you first, JD. Who's your number 1 receiver under 25 right now?
So my number 1 receiver under 25 is my number 1 receiver overall. Number 1. I will grab him every time as the first receiver off the board, Mr. Juju Smith-Schuster.
Wow.
It's not a secret. Anyone who listens to me understands that he's 22 years old. He's by far the number 1 target right now in that offense with AB gone. And, even if they pull back a bit and they start running the ball a bit more, they got 3 decent running backs back there. Who the hell's behind Juju? James Washington?
Yep.
What did he show us last year? I'm not saying he's not going to pop this year, but even if the best case scenario, what is he, a wide receiver 3 for you this year? They drafted,
Deontay Johnson.
Yes, thank you. And I hear he's got sticky fingers and so far, and that's great and all, but rookie wide receiver, unless you're OBJ, you're probably not going to make a huge difference in, you're not going to be a starter or making a difference in that sense. To me, OBJ is a no-brainer, number 1 wide receiver. Love Hopkins. I will not argue anyone that takes him ahead of him. Just personally, I'm going Juju with the age and what he with the potential that he's got out there in Pittsburgh.
All right, good stuff there. Ryan, who do you have your number 1?
I have Michael Thomas. He's tied to Drew Brees, which is, it's not going to last forever, but Michael Thomas catches legitimately everything. He's over 70. He catches over 70% of the balls thrown his way. He's a threat in the red zone. He's a fantastic route runner. Both of them are outside of my top. I don't know. Mike Thomas is my number 4 receiver overall. Juju's probably my 5. So they're right there. They're pretty close to each other. But I love Michael Thomas's game, man. I think he's a better pure receiver. Juju does a lot of good stuff and is super young. But I'm going to give Thomas the edge just because he's so polished at that age.
Is Michael Thomas not 26?
He's 24.
Is this a typo? Oh, there's a serious typo on this website.
Yeah, I'm looking at
is he?
Pro Football Reference.
I'm looking at a typo.
Mr. Matt Kelly, you need to correct that website, my friend. We got a 26.2 right beside Michael Thomas's name.
I got 26 on Pro Football Focus or Pro Football Reference as well.
Pro Football Reference has him at 25. Maybe
Really?
I'm wrong. So if that's the case, Juju's my number 1. And we'll just add one more to my list.
We each get a mulligan, man. I got a mulligan at quarterback. You get a mulligan.
Yeah, how do they have all different ages for players?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm at Pro Football Reference right now, and they got him at 26 years old in 103 days. Born in 93.
26.3.
So it's a mystery. So never mind that.
All right, so he's just...
Well, I'm going to go with Juju. Anything bad I said, I take back.
That's awesome.
Actually, no, I'm going to keep everything bad I said, even though he's still my number 1 there.
All right, I also have Juju at my number 1, so I'm going to go ahead and give you my number 2, and that's Chris Godwin. I love Chris Godwin. I actually had him on my team, but I also owned O.J. Howard and Mike Evans, so I had to sell him last year. I couldn't own 3 guys from the Bucs. But I think Godwin is going to have a humongous year this year. Deshaun Jackson is now gone. I think O.J. Howard will take some of those targets that Jackson didn't get, but I think that Godwin has a breakout season this year with that Bruce Arians offense, and I think that he is going to be a top 24 receiver for the rest of his career, basically if he stays there, as long as Winston can give him the ball. Who do you got as your number 2, JD?
I think there's a guy that maybe you guys passed on just because this guy turns 25 on June 17th. So my number 2 is Mr. Amari Cooper out there in Dallas. For me, this guy's a top 10, top 12 wide receiver going into the season. I always talk about the rapport between a quarterback and his wide receiver. If you look at what this guy did coming into a new team, new offense, halfway through the season, this guy was balling, man. You can't expect anything more than what he did last year. So for me, my little cheat code, looking at his birth date, he's 11 months, I guess, at this point, or even more, 11.9 months or whatever it is you want to call it. I'm going to put Amari right there after Juju.
Yeah, I did look at Amari. I guess I was looking at what they would be for the start of the season, so I eliminated Amari. But yeah, definitely
always looking for that edge, Jeff.
Yeah,
I'm always looking for that edge.
Yeah, Amari would definitely be on my list if I hadn't eliminated him because of that. What about you, Ryan? Who you got as your number 2?
I got Amari as my number 2. He's electric. I think Oakland just gave him a bad reputation. And he's another one similar to, we talked about with Goff. He did great, and then he kind of fell off a little bit, but that was his environment. And we saw what he did with Dak, who's never really made a receiver shine like that before, and he showed us everything. And he's tied to a 25-year-old quarterback for a long time. I love Cooper's talent. I love the connection with Dak. Everything that you said, he's a fantastic player.
All right, good stuff. Ryan, we'll just stay on you. Who do you got at your next player?
I got DJ Moore.
Nice.
DJ Moore was my favorite receiver last year. He's a fantastic route runner. He goes across the middle. He can run after the catch. He can beat guys deep. He's on a good team with good running games, trying to open things up. Cam is still a great quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. And DJ Moore has all the makings of being a top-tier wide receiver for them. He's a guy who's still not up to his potential value. He's buying for me. I'm trying to get as many shares in as I can, but I think DJ Moore has everything you want out of a superstar wide receiver.
Nice, good stuff.
And he's only 22.
He's 22. Yeah, he's definitely one of the younger guys on this list for sure. What about you, JD? Who do you have as your next receiver?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Ryan. 90th percentile breakout age, 97th percentile college dominator. I feel like this guy's kind of going under the radar right now, out in whether it's regards to Cam's, shoulder or whatever it is. From what I understand, he's throwing the ball around. He's going to be ready to go far before the season starts. So for me, DJ Moore is there's two guys that I kind of have in a similar value, and it's DJ Moore and Christian Kirk. And maybe I'm giving him my next guy. Same age. They're both going to be number ones in prolific offenses that should be throwing the ball. And I'll take either DJ Moore or Christian Kirk in this position. I think people are shying off Kirk because of the competition they brought in. But let's remember, rookie wide receivers take a while.
Yep.
And Kirk did amazing last year as a rookie.
Yep.
And you got a young quarterback coming in. He's going to be looking to the guy who's got the most experience in that offense. And to me, that's Kirk. And they're just going to build that rapport together. And I feel like he's the guy to have in Arizona. So whether it's DJ or Christian, I like both those guys in that next spot.
Nice, good stuff there. I actually didn't have Kirk on my list at all. I just somehow missed him completely. I actually have DJ Moore as my sixth. He's just missed my top five. I think the guys that I have are pretty close in general. My number three actually was I heard that. My number three is Mr. Calvin Ridley. I mean, he had the biggest rookie season last year of all the receivers. Granted, he had a ton of big games that kind of inflated his stats, but I mean, he's playing in a great offense. Matt Ryan, and everyone thinks he's like super old. He's not that old. He's going to be around for a while. Ridley won't see double teams for a while because I still got Julio Jones there, so he'll be able to get that one-on-one coverage for quite a while. So I'm going with Calvin Ridley. I think we all just talked about three straight guys that are basically in their second year. I think any of those guys could be the number three there, but I chose Ridley out of those three. JD, we'll go back to you there. What you got for number four?
I'm going to go with Tyler Boyd. So he's just under 25. He's 24. To me, he's going to be the wide receiver one in Cincinnati. I think that offense is going to, similar to Detroit, I think they're going to only improve. This guy looked good with AJ on the field or off the field. And while one of you guys are talking, I might pull up the game splits on RotoViz. But I actually traded a guy we talked about earlier, Evan Engram, for Tyler Boyd because I needed a guy to fill in my receiver spot last year. And I have no regrets, man. I think Tyler Boyd he's produced really well. Last year was the first year that he really got an opportunity. This offense, with the new coaching staff, AJ Green was injured half of the season last year, or a good chunk of last year. So again, Tyler Boyd didn't look like it mattered whether AJ Green was on the field or not. But I think with both of them on the field, you talked about Mixon. I think Tyler Boyd is kind of a bit of a sleeper this year. So he's my number 5 coming into this list.
Good stuff. Now, I missed that part where you said about his splits. Are you talking about splits with AJ Green in and out? Is that what you're talking about?
Exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm going to pull that up while you guys give your number 5.
All right, go ahead, Ryan.
He's like a local. He's a local for me. He's from Pittsburgh area. His high school he went to won like 4 or 5 state championships in a row.
Wow!
Like they have the record for that. Like they're unbelievable. When they were there, when he was there for like 2 or 3 of them.
Nice.
So with AJ Green on the field with him, just under 18 points per week PPR. Without him, just under 13. So that's a 5-point difference. And AJ Green's coming back this year.
Yep.
And
I think this is where we see that kind of, when you saw, Juju White, what was his name, out in Atlanta? Oh my God,
Calvin Ridley.
It's getting late. No, the guy who's gone now.
Mohamed Sanu.
Roddy White. Thank you very
Roddy
much.
White.
I kind
There
of
we
see
go.
a similar situation here where AJ Green's going to kind of take that secondary role, and Tyler Boyd's going to just take over. Even his receptions, he's got 2, almost 3 more receptions with AJ on the field. So I think that'll only help him this year. So Tyler Boyd's a guy that I really like.
Good stuff. I actually got Tyler Boyd as my next receiver as well. To finish off my top 5, so I had Juju, Godwin, Ridley, Boyd. I already mentioned I got more at 6. So at 5, I actually have Mike Williams. I know the knock on Mike Williams is that, Philip Rivers is getting older and who that quarterback will be after Philip Rivers leaves. But I think Mike Williams' talent showed last year. I think his efficiency rating was through the roof with his touchdowns. I think he will continue to be that touchdown guy for that team, whoever the quarterback happens to be after Rivers. I do think he's got a few more years left. So Mike Williams was my guy at number 5. Ryan, who'd you have at 5?
Oh, my 4 was, we missed that one, was Calvin Ridley.
Gotcha.
But my number 5, I apologize in advance because you were talking the opposite of him earlier, is Corey Davis. And I think he's going to shine for kind of the reasons you think he's going down. So we talked about it you were talking about the splits with Tyler Boyd and AJ Green being there.
Mm-hmm.
Another talented receiver only helps you. Juju had his best games when Antonio Brown was there. Corey Davis has been the entire show with a beat-up Marcus Mariota in the passing game. Well, Mariota's healthy. They added A.J. Brown. Brown's a slot guy. He's going to be taking pressure off him. Corey Davis isn't going to get double covered, triple covered every time. And with him being with him getting the ball and actually being open, I think we'll get to see what kind of player he is. And I think he's going to have that breakout season, and he's on the super cheap now.
Yeah, that's a good call there. I didn't consider Corey Davis because, like I said, I sold him in my dynasty league, and I've been selling him pretty much everywhere. But he has that potential. He definitely is talented. I think if he was somewhere else besides Tennessee.
Yeah, man, he's the prototype. He's the prototypical receiver, and we're talking a guy who's a lot of these guys are adjusted going from D1 to the NFL, which is an adjustment. This dude's coming from Western Michigan.
Yeah.
It's an adjustment coming to going from playing guys who are built like us to playing guys who are Jalen Ramsey. It's a huge change for him. I think this is the perfect chance for him to break out because there's talent on that team now, and they're trying to get the passing game up a little bit.
Yep, good call. All right, JD, you got anybody else you got on your list there?
Yeah, there's this one guy we didn't mention, and that's, again, just thinking on a trade perspective, trade angle, Mr. Nikhil Harry, the first receiver off the board this year. He's 21. He's going in there with Brady. I know we're unsure about Brady, but let's face it, anything that the New England Patriots invest highly in, you got to be interested. A lot of people have this guy far ahead of any other receiver in this class.
Yep.
So I think if for me, I love both the guys you guys mentioned. Ridley and Williams are guys that I think will definitely outperform. You know what? They're going at a good price, but I think it's kind of like Godwin. You want to get him now.
Yep.
The value is just going to keep going up. And I think Harry right now is there's that hesitation with the fact that Brady's 49,000 years old and he's whatever eating his quinoa salads and stuff, but we don't really know how long he's going to last, right? So I like Harry in the sense that. For me, I question what he's going to produce year one, but if you can pick him up and move him, for something nice,
yep.
I like that as well. So Harry's just a guy that I want to mention, in the group that we're talking about tonight.
Like that
Portland
a lot.
Sutton too. There's another one.
Yeah, Sutton's
another
a good one as well.
man.
Yep, agreed.
And I think Flacco could force feed him a little bit.
All right, good stuff. All right, it is the moment that we've all been waiting for. The entry to the Scott Fish Bowl. So I just checked to make sure. So we had a total of 259 total entries. I wish I could give it a free entry to everybody that entered in the contest. I appreciate the love that we got. Everybody kind of followed us on Twitter, and then they followed the show. I appreciate it. A lot of them are tuning in tonight to see if they won. So I ran the randomizer, and the winner of the SFB 9 entry is Mr. Michael McKinnon. On Twitter, known as @MikeB McKinnon. Congratulations. I don't know if you're tuning in right now, but you are the winner of the SFB 9. I will be reaching out to you on Twitter to get your email address, get it to Scott Fish so he can send you your entry. And congratulations to Mr. Michael McKinnon, guys. Great stuff. All right, we're running a little bit long here. I wanted to get to some keep cut trades, so we'll just do a couple of the ones that I wrote down here. Basically, this is a little bit different than we normally do it. You give 3 players, you keep one, you cut one, you trade one. Tonight, because we're in the off season, I'm going to do it a little differently. We're just going to give 1 player, and you got to tell me if he's on your roster right now. Are you going to keep him? Are you going to cut him? Or are you going to try to trade him? You think he has some value left? And we'll kick it off with a guy that's been kind of getting some buzz. He's the MVP right now of the Dolphins, mini camps and everything else. He gets that buzz every offseason. JD, we'll go to you first. Are you going to keep, cut, or trade Mr. Devante Parker?
MVP. This guy's already in the Hall of Fame. If you just look at the offseason, like I don't know, man. If I was better at social media and the technical, I can make myself, kind of a YouTube online. This guy just every offseason. Look, let's face it, new coaching coming in. We talked about it. He's talented. He's got the draft capital. He's got everything. But does he have what it takes between the ears? I've kind of given up on him. If I have him on my squad, I might take advantage of the hype and try to move him. Otherwise, I don't know. I'm not really going out there and buying Parker. We've heard this over and over and over. It's like that record player, anyone out there that listens that even knows what a record player is, where it just keeps skipping, It's kind of like that with man. I've given up on the guy, to be honest. Yeah,
it's funny you said that, like a record player, you keep skipping. I actually, checked those tweets when they were, put out that he was doing good in camp to make sure of the date. Every once in a while you get those tweets that sort of get, regurgitated from last year. I'm like, all right, let me make sure this is actually 2019 and not some tweet from 2017. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. What about you, Ryan? Keep, cut, trade Devante Parker.
I'm gonna try to trade him because there's a sucker born every day, but I don't want him on my team.
Yeah.
One way or the other, I don't want him on my team. I'm not falling for it.
Yeah, agreed. I think if I can find someone to buy it, I'm going to, try to trade him. But, I play in a lot of leagues with some pretty experienced players. I don't think anybody's going to be buying him. I do think if I had him on my team and he's my last spot on my bench and there's nothing on the waiver wire, I might just hold on to him just to see what he does in week 1 or week 2 and then try to trade him. But I think if I have to keep, cut, or trade this guy, I think I'm going to try to trade him and then eventually just cut him if I have to.
Week 1 with Fitzmagic throwing him the bomb, you know what I mean? He gets like 70 yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
That's when you move.
That's when you sell him, exactly.
So we play Parker week 1 of DraftKings and then never mention his name again.
Yep, exactly. Get that minimum price, get that 1 70-yard touchdown at minimum price, and then move on. All right, let's touch on a couple more guys here. Let's do a running back that actually, signed a free agent contract. Everyone was excited about him, and then the Bears went out and drafted a running back, and that's Mike Davis. Are we going to keep him, cut him, or trade him, Ryan? Does he have any value left at all?
I guess you gotta keep him just because he has no trade value, and you hope that you might catch some hype. So I'm going to keep him for now. I guess hold's probably a better term, but
yeah,
he's closer to cut than trade because he isn't going to get you nothing.
Agreed.
If I can get a 4th round dynasty pick or 4th round rookie pick for him for 2020, I'll probably do it.
Yep. I actually just recently cut Mike Davis from my dynasty team. I actually picked him up when he was a free agent, because he got signed to the Bears. I think, okay, good, he's going to take that Jordan Howard role. Let me go ahead and add him, and I just dropped him. I think I picked up the rookie running back from the Atlanta Falcons. I can't think of his name not right now. Allison's his last name. Quadri Allison. So I dropped Mike Davis for Quadri Allison. So that was a sort of give you an idea of how much his value has dropped. I think Allison's probably the 3rd running back there in Atlanta right now. So I was obviously cutting Mike Davis. What about you, JD? What do you think of Mike Davis?
I'm going to go against the grain here. I think right now especially. So offenses where you have multiple running backs that can be significant, and this is a perfect look. We don't know what Montgomery's going to be like in this offense. We don't know how they're going to use him. We don't know how he's going to perform at the NFL level. For me right now, if I have Mike Davis, I'm holding. To me, I'm seeing a similarity to any offense where the running back position is kind of a cloudy situation. So like the New England situation last year, gobbling up those, Stony Michele rookie drafts, but James White just on all over my rosters because he was going really late. Again, this is a similar situation. So if you look at the guys in Chicago. Montgomery's the hot topic right now. People are he can easily get hurt, and he can easily just poop the bed, if you want to call it that. So who's next behind him? Cohen is always going to have his role. I think people are kind of just thinking, Mont's going to come in and take over. I don't think he's taking anything from Cohen. I think Cohen's established himself in the passing game. I think he's shown value. He's a beast, man. If you owned him last year, he won you weeks.
Yep.
Because that offense is legit. He's building that rapport with Mitch, and I don't think Cohen's going anywhere. But the guy that's going on the radar right now, as opposed to prior to the draft, is Mike Davis. So for me right now, he's a buy. If you own him, you hold him. There's no point in dropping him. Just my opinion, Jeff. I'm not shitting on your.
No, you're good. You're good.
But I just feel like he's exactly the type of guy that you want on your bench in Dynasty, because he's in a good offense. We talked about that often. You want a running back in a good offense. And even if Montgomery does go above and beyond, again, he's a running back. If he gets hurt, it's not Cohen that's going to take over that backfield. We know that just from what we saw. Cohen's got his role. So for me, Mike Davis right now, if you got him, you hold him. If you can get him thrown into a trade coming your way for cheap, I'm all about it. I think that his value right now is a little below what he's actually worth and what he can give you. So I actually like Mike Davis right now.
All right, good stuff. Making me want to go back and re-add him. The good thing about it, my league actually hates Mike Davis because I've kind of brought him up a couple times. So I think he'll still be sitting there for a while. If something does happen, I can go back and re-add him.
It's cheap, man. It's cheap right now.
He's definitely cheap. You can get him basically for free. All right, let's do two more that I got written down here. And one guy is interesting just because he's not actually in the league right now, but people still want to hold on to him. Keep, cut, trade Rob Gronkowski. Ryan, what are you doing with him?
Cut.
Simple as that.
He's done. He ain't playing again. His back, he's broke. His back's done. He's gonna be on TV. He's gonna enjoy being on TV and living that life. No.
All right, good stuff. Keep it short and simple. JD, what about you? Keep, cut, trade Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, I agree with Ryan. I was just trying to look up his stats last year, but what did he do for you last year?
Yep.
You know what I mean? I traded for him last year going into the playoffs because I was a contender and I was hurting at tight end. And I thought, you know what, they might use him in the playoffs. He's, I'm getting him at a good price, whatever it is. But what did he do for you last year? So if he's coming in, even if they do somehow convince him to come back, Brady, picks up the bat phone and calls him in. What's he really? So I think he's just clogging up a spot right now on your roster. And I agree, man. Just either drop him or maybe you just go out there and before I would drop him, just a little tip to Fantasyland there. I might throw out an offer to every guy in my league for like a 2024th or 5th round pick.
Just see what happens.
Get something for him.
Yep, just to see what
Sucker's
happens.
born every day.
All right, let's do one more, and we're going to go with the 49er here. Obviously, the receiving core has been totally revamped. We got Pettis there now. We got Deebo Samuel. We drafted a couple rookies there. Marquise Goodwin, what's his value now, Ryan? Are you going to keep, cut, trade, or Marquise Goodwin?
I love Marquise Goodwin. I think he has a role in that offense. I think he's a starter. He's going to be that deep role. I like him more. I like him a lot in best ball. He's a guy who's probably going to win every best ball team I run this year.
Nice.
He's a big play threat. They like throwing deep. They said they like going to him. He's going to be like a Desean Jackson light for that offense. He's not going to be a huge volume guy. He's the guy I'm going to put in either redraft or dynasty when I'm playing a top-tier team in the league, when I'm looking for some lightning in the bottle.
Yep. I agree with there. What about you, JD? What do you think of Marquise Goodwin? Keep, cut, trade.
Yeah, similar to Mike Davis. There's no point in trading him. I think right now the value is super low, but I think the perception from Fantasyland is below what this guy can offer. Let's remember that before Jimmy G went down and started going out with porn stars out there in the TMZ line, I think that Goodwin was his number one target, and he was the one that was benefiting from Jimmy G coming into the offense. So, Pettis is there, which I like. I'm not heavily investing in him. I think that he's probably the wide receiver one in that offense, but let's say he gets hurt or something like that, or maybe Jimmy G comes back and doesn't necessarily have that connection with Pettis. I think that Goodwin is the next guy in line, and for the price he's going at, I'm trying to pull up his ADP right now. Dude is super cheap. He's actually wide receiver 95.
Wow.
He's he's going around DJ Shark, which is the
Trash.
the butt end of a children's song, and then you've got ESB, which I would put my money on DJ Shark or anyone here. Deion Kane, we don't know if he's even back this year. So if you look at who's around Goodwin and the potential and what he did before he got hurt or before Jimmy G got hurt, I don't mind Goodwin, man. If I own him, I'm holding. I'm not necessarily, again, if you can get him thrown into a deal, go ahead. But you could probably pick this guy off waivers right now, and he can be a nice little surprise on the end of your bench. Yeah,
I agree 100% with y'all. As a 49er fan, I think that Marquise Goodwin, he just crushed the mini camp right now. I think he was the best receiver in camp. Pettis is getting a lot of hype because he's coming into his second year. Of course, Deebo Samuels and Jalen Hurd are getting hype because they're rookies, and they always seem to get the most hype. But Marquise Goodwin already has that rapport with Jimmy G, even more so than he does with Dante Pettis. And I think that he offers something that the other guys don't. I mean, Pettis, Samuel are kind of the same receiver. Hurd is sort of that slash kind of guy where he can do a little bit of everything. But Goodwin is their deep threat, and they don't have that, other than him. He is their deep guy, and I think that, that's a valuable piece to have there. Like you mentioned, Desean Jackson. I think he's in that just Desean Jackson kind of role where he's going to be that big play guy. He may give you games where he has like 2 catches for 20 yards, but he'll give you those games where he got 2 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown, and those are the ones you want in like best ball leagues, like you mentioned, Ryan. So yeah, I love me some Marquise Goodwin, and I'm keeping him for sure.
It's very similar, but different to what Philly did. How they have 3 different receivers. Like, they all have their specific role. Pettis is their versatile guy. Goodwin's their deep threat. And Debo's going to be that slot receiver who they're just getting the ball in space to.
Yep.
Like, it's very specific how that offense is going to look. And I think he has a nice role in that.
Agreed, 100%. All right, that does it for the show tonight, JD. I want to thank you once again for coming on at short notice. I know I called you like on a Tuesday or a Wednesday to sort of come on the show as a last-minute thing. I appreciate you coming on, man. Great show. Tell us again where we can follow you on Twitter and plug your show one more time before we head out of here.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot for having me. Anytime to come on and talk fantasy, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are you sitting around watching on the front? I'm old. I'm an old man, so it's not like I'm going to party at the clubs tonight.
You ain't as old as me, man.
And anytime, brother, anytime to get on and talk fantasy. I love your topic tonight, by the way. Just as a guy who's trying to find topics on a weekly, I love the 25 under 25. So I appreciate you coming on. You and I have kind of quickly become friends on the Twitter land. So I appreciate you, man. You're one of those guys that kind of representative of what Fantasyland has to offer. You're one of those extremes where you go above and beyond, man. You've helped me out. You've reached out to me in more than you even needed to. And I just want to say I appreciate you. Appreciate you, Ryan. Appreciate you guys having me on. You can find me, JD, at GOAT District. We have our GOAT District podcast on a weekly basis. We talk player value. We talk trades. We got crazy guests coming on a weekly. We have a DTC invasion with JP Hurley and Riley Bymaster coming on in a couple weeks. And my co-host, man. I can't forget my co-host, Dan Williamson, at Overhyped Sleeper with no E on the end because he couldn't afford it. Spent way too much money going to the FFPC live drafts. So, you know what? We just have fun on a weekly. The GOAT Leagues are just full of goodness, full of action, and they make me better as a fantasy player. So I appreciate the GOATs. I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate Fantasyland. Thanks for listening to us, talk football, man, because it's fun.
I appreciate everything you said, man, and I listen to your show pretty much every week, on my way to work. Y'all do a great job there. So definitely check out the podcast, guys, on iTunes, GOAT District. Have a good night. That's a wrap.